Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Teresa here, and today I'm going to work on day 24 in my 2021 December daily album. And I'm working with Crate Paper Busy Sidewalks today. And so do you want to hear a funny story? So I've been looking at this layout and trying to figure out, like, why isn't the Busy Sidewalks collection in with my other stuff? Like, what happened to it? And so I went to my digital folders and printed out a bunch of the digital elements from AC Digitals, and so that I could finish up this layout. And it was just bugging me, and sure enough, I had the whole collection tucked into one of my Kallax cubbies. And I'm like, I don't even remember that I had all this. Okay, so it turns out I've got the chipboard pieces. Look at that. They've never been opened. The stamp set, I've got the puffies that have never been opened. The die cuts went in with my other things. They've been in that little white tray with the other red embellishments. But I'm just like, oh my gosh, I did this whole album and forgot that I had this stuff. So now is the time for this collection to shine. The other thing that I wanted to explain so that it makes sense is that I had gone in and printed my photo, my story for day 24. And this is another one that I do every year, is get a picture of the kids under the tree. They don't fit under the tree anymore, so this year they're beside the tree, and that's fine. But I had printed it out bigger, or kind of a bigger size. I think it was like, I think this is like 6 by 8. And I really am not sure that I like how that looks. So I sized it down a little bit, and I'm gonna do a pattern paper background and do something with this. I was able to pull, this is one of the die cuts, and the little making a list is one of the die cuts. So they were put down with adhesive. I was able to pull those up a little bit, but the taxi cab is a sticker. But guess what? I've got it in digital. So it can just go right on top of there like it never happened. But the photo, I can't get it to pull up without ripping the background page. So we're going to cover that up and pretend it never happened. And I had started, when I did the foundation pages, I had started adding these little houses, and I've got some more houses I think that I can add to it, because there were a couple in the Mittens and Mistletoe collection. There's this little A-frame here, and this little A-frame here, and so I want to add those to it. And then let me see what's in the Busy Sidewalks sticker pack. I might have used it already when I made the page, but I do, yeah, I used them already, but I do have more of the die cuts, and so I might bring those in. And I just want to say, this is a shout out for AC Digitals. If you're not familiar with that website, you can get a lot of the Crate Paper digital collections in a digital format, so you can stretch your collections a little bit and make them go a little bit further. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started and see what happens and where this page takes us. And I hope you have a good time watching. All right, so my basic plan and thought going into this was just to use up some of these really cute supplies that apparently I had been hiding from myself for a year. And so this is a lot of fun. First, what I wanted to do was I noticed that there were those couple of little houses in the Mittens and Mistletoe sticker sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and add those to the transparency here, just to add a little bit more to those houses and to this little neighborhood that I have going on. And I thought that there was another house in the die cuts that I had printed and cut, but the one that I had in there was one that I already had on the transparency. So I scratched that, and I think that it will just be left that way, and then I'll come back later and cover up the back where I pop those up with the foam tape. So now the fun begins. What do I want to do exactly? And I've got a couple of ideas, and I just wanted to kind of go back through here. First, I need to pick a pattern paper to cover that photo, that enlarged photo with. And I know that sounds a little bit weird to print out an enlarged photo and then cover it back up, but I think I glued it down with red line tape because it doesn't want to come up without damaging that cardstock and all that. So it's a wash, it's lost. I'm going to cover it, and I think what I want to use is the little blue pattern paper with the trees on it. I think that's what I'm going to end up using. And then I pulled it out and I saw, oh, there's this cute little car on the lower left hand corner. So I'm going to use that part on the left hand side of the layout and use the non-car side here. So I'm going to cover up the photo with this, and then there, that's what it's going to look like. And then since I had printed and cut the little taxi cab, I'm going to go ahead and cover that up so that, because it's a sticker and so it was stuck down to the bottom already. And yes, I wanted to say that absolutely, sometimes when you make a foundation page and you come back to it, what you had down didn't work. But the benefit of having the foundation page done here was that I already had something to go on and a place to start. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start adding some embellishments just here at the bottom around this little embellishment cluster that I already started. And so what I'm going to do first is add the number, so number 24. And I was just trying to decide, did I want to use the red 2 or do both numbers in the same color of green? And I decided to do both numbers in the same green since they were layered on top of that pink, that little pink journaling spot. And then the stamp set had these adorable little houses as a stamp. So I'm going to stamp that down onto that little journaling spot and just give a little something to fill that area in underneath the 24. And from then it just kind of grew and grew and grew. So went ahead and glued down that pattern paper. I'm good with that, and I like how that just kind of forms a background between the solid green and the photo, and it's a little bit more visual interest. And then everything that I add to the page from here on out is going to sort of go around that pattern paper. So the pattern paper becomes the home base for everything. And so I really liked these two little ladies. There was the one carrying the gift bags. I already adhered her down. And then I'm going to add the other little lady with the presents that is sort of hiding her face. And she got foam tape. I popped her up with foam tape just for a little bit of dimension. And I'm just playing here with the layers. Some of the layers are going underneath the pattern paper. Some of the layers are going on top of the pattern papers. And some of the layers are getting popped up. And then I'll work in some of the chipboard pieces, and that's another level of dimension as well. And then it was also really nice to have these printed and cut digital embellishments too, just to add in, you know how you always run out of the floral pieces? So I had little extras that I could add, and that was really nice. Just to be able to have duplicates. So that really pretty red floral chipboard piece, look, I used it. I don't know how long it's been since I've used chipboard. What about you guys? I've sort of been on the outs with it lately. It's just so thick. But it worked out nice with this page because I was using foam tape for some of the other things too. And I really do like those ornaments, so I'll just have them sort of suspended there from the top of the page. And again, just following the line of that background pattern paper. And then brought in a couple more stickers here. The little squirrels, they make a cute little, they sort of mirror each other here, where the one goes under the title and then the other one is in the lower right hand corner. So they get repeated. I usually try to repeat an element once I bring it in. So the title, speaking of which, that is one of the stickers. It says Make It Merry, and then it's adhered in kind of in two ways, but it's the top layer, so it's sitting on the chipboard floral and also on the photo at the top. And that just sort of brings your eye here into the photo and helps that photo stand out from the background paper. And then I had put the little label across the bottom. I repeated another label across the top and just tucked that underneath the photo, and then added the little washi strip and the little Dear Santa tag at the bottom behind that taxi cab. And I will go back, you'll see here in a minute, I'll go back and add some puffy stickers too. And those little washi strips were kind of nice to have too. I didn't purchase the pack of washi tapes with this collection, so it was kind of nice to have those in the digital kit and then be able to print them and use them as well. They read as pattern papers here, which is kind of nice. So here's these adorable little puffy stickers, and let's see, I used the Santa and the mug, and that's the mug right there. Those are so cute, and I think that I kind of have finished that side of the page. I really like how that turned out. It's just a page of all the things. So if you are a minimalist scrapbooker, this might not be the layout for you, but that's okay. This was a lot of fun, and I have to say, after hiding that collection for a year, it was a lot of fun just to play with it and just to give myself permission to use all these things, especially going into the new season and with Mittens and Mistletoe waiting on my desk as well. And I think I am going to combine those two collections and use those in this year's album, so I'll get some more use as well. And then remember how I left the back side of those two little houses on the transparency. Those were still blank on the back. You can see the foam tape. So I'm going to just grab a couple of little pattern papers here and fix that. And notice how I took the vellum and traced around the blank spots in the sticker sheet so that I could cut out the little shape, and then I just cut around it. And that gave me a pretty close version of the back side of those little houses. All right, so I'm gonna move on now. Oh wait, I've still got one more little house to trace here. So here you can see a little bit more clearly how I traced this onto a piece of vellum and then cut out around it and then laid it on top of the pattern paper. You gotta lay it face down so you get the back of your shape there, and then just cut around both pieces, and that worked out really nicely. And then I did adhere those using red line tape since they were going onto the transparency, and hopefully they will hold on to that transparency pretty well. My idea behind that was just to build like a little neighborhood on that transparency. It already had the houses in gold foil printed on it, which is really beautiful. I don't actually know where the rest of that transparency went. I feel like this collection just went into a void after I made those foundation pages last year. But it was really, every year when I put December Daily away in December, I'm ready to put it away for a few months. I put it away out of sight, out of mind, and apparently that's what I did with Busy Sidewalks. Alright, so for the left-hand side, sort of becomes a filler page, and I do need a spot for my journaling, so that's going to kind of take center space, the center spotlight on this side. And I decided to use this really pretty plaid, this green plaid. Look how pretty that is. And it repeats the green, so still more green here on the layout, but it's a little bit different than the right hand side. And that's cool too, you know. When you're working on 2-page spreads, they can kind of have their own personalities too. So I'm going to just glue that down to the back of day 23 and then add that pattern paper back onto the green plaid. And that little car, he's a little pop of red now against that green. And I think that's my favorite thing about using all these greens lately, is just adding that red pop on top. So now the fun of how do I want to embellish this page. So I thought I would use one of the labels from the chipboard sheet. And if you guys have seen me do this before, I usually peel back some of the layers on the chipboard pieces because they're so thick. And then I discovered, well, I had this sneaky suspicion that these chipboard pieces don't like ink, and it's true, they don't really like ink. I tried some of my best pens and they all smeared pretty easily. So what I decided to do was to just grab a fairly neutral pattern paper here and then layer that on top of that chipboard piece, and that way I could still use the little like peppermint stripe on that chipboard, but then also write on it and get my journaling on there. So that was a lot of fuss for one little label, but that's okay. in the interest of using things up, that's what we're going to do. And then the little stamp set had the jingle jingle on it, so I stamped that at the top where there was the writing before I added the pattern paper. And then I'm going to go ahead and write out my journaling here and glue that down and start adhering the embellishments. And so I've already done the background paper a little bit differently. The focus for this side of the layout is a little bit different as well because it's focused on the journaling. And so I'm going to embellish a little bit differently as well. And I did decide to kind of keep this a little bit more calm in terms of how many embellishments I added. Just again in a sort of contrast, and just to make sure that the journaling kind of stood out. So I am going to use the Mary Mary for the words on this side, just using up some of these beautiful puffy titles. And then that inspired me, whoops, I ran off the page a little bit with that Y. So, and I don't know really like why I positioned them like that. It was just, I was just having fun. But that inspired me then to add some of these gold snowflakes around the page. And again, just following the line of the pattern paper here. And that cute little Santa at the corner of the journaling spot. I went ahead and used this little light banner at the top, and then just like I mirrored the squirrels on the first side, I'm gonna mirror these happy little deer. And then also I used that big floral, and that floral went behind the Santa. That's something that I did that was similar to the other side. And then, oh yeah, the little snow angels, the kids that were making snow angels there, I just put those at the top. Alright, day 24 is done, and I don't know yet when I'll have the rest of this album done, but I really am hoping to get it all out before December 1, so I will be back here again soon to share that with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.